Hi, I'm Tia with Badass Therapy, and we are on video 6 of Cues of Safety and Danger. So, again, this is presenter Deb Dana and a presentation that she did for the Safe and Sound protocol that I administer. So, she talked about the idea that in order to feel safe, we need context, choice, and connection. Right? So context is where we need to share with people the idea of just, kind of framing things. This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it, right? We need to know what's happening around us. And so one of the things that she talked about that I thought was particularly interesting in the midst here of a pandemic is that our bodies perceive danger when our choices are limited or we feel trapped. And so, it's this really interesting idea, but also we perceive danger when there's too many choices, or we're given a choice without a guide as to how to make good choices. And so, really for you, think about where you are on that scale of wanting unlimited choices to needing limited choices, right? And so I think about this with buying a new car, right? I was so overwhelmed by the idea that I could just buy any new car. It was too much for me. And so I really limited it down to I was going to buy a Subaru because I come from my grandma's a Subaru person, right? And so, the rest of my family are not Subaru people. So I was about to say that, but it's not accurate. My grandma is a Subaru person. And so for me, really, I had to limit my own choices. Right. And so I see this often with clients when they come into my office. So I have a couch and two recliners, and one of the recliners is a rocker and one of them is a glider. And so I always give people the choice of which one they want. Right. And I see very different responses to that. I see people who are super excited that they get to pick. I see people who say, well, which chair do you sit in? And I'm like, whatever one you don't sit in. And they're like, yes, but what's your favorite? And I'm like, I like all of them. And so, right, for them, right, they may not feel like they have the guide as to how to make a good choice. Right. And so oftentimes when I talk to people about making choices, right, we talk through the idea about okay, so what does guide this choice, right? What helps you to know what good choices are? Because it can feel really overwhelming, right? How do you have to limit your choices, right? I see clients get really overwhelmed by having unlimited choices. So it's really fascinating to me for that idea of how choice is a cue of safety, but it also can be a cue of danger. So for yourself, right, think about where you are on that scale. So another thing she talked about that I've seen a lot is that change is often a cue of danger, right? So that, right, as a child, right, changes were huge things in my childhood, right? My parents got divorced. My stepdad died by suicide, right? And so for many people, right, big changes like that, or even then little changes after that, right? I'm much more sensitive to change because for me, it cues that something dangerous might be happening. And that is true for lots of my clients that I work with. And so, right, this idea of connection, right? We need connection in order to feel safe. So she talked about the idea that we have to have good experiences of co-regulation before we can effectively learn to self-regulate. So let me explain that a little bit more. So regulation is, right, how do I calm myself down? How do I deal with stressors? How do I respond to life? And so as an infant, right, we should have first experiences of co-regulation, right? So babies first learn how to calm themselves by their parents calming them. And so, right, when I, as an infant, cry and somebody comes and they pick me up and they snuggle me, right, that teaches me that, oh, sometimes I need a hug, right? If I cry because I'm feeling overstimulated and they move me to a quieter room, right, I go, oh, okay, I need to move to a quieter room when I feel this way in my body, right? Oh, I cry because I'm hot, right? And somebody comes and they, put me into a lighter outfit, right? Then I go, oh, this is how I'm able to do this for myself. And so those experiences with our caregivers are where we first learn to co-regulate. Now, not all caregivers are good at this, right? And so many infants have to learn how to self-regulate, right? This is the idea of, well, they're just going to have to learn how to calm themselves down. So we should just let them cry themselves to sleep. Babies don't learn how to do that effectively without somebody co-regulating for them first. This is true for adults too. If you never got really good experiences of somebody co-regulating with you, you don't know how to effectively calm yourself, right? You don't know how to effectively regulate yourself. And so, a big part of therapy for some people, right, is having somebody else help co regulate, right? Having somebody else help co regulate in an effective way, right? And so, getting that experience in your nervous system, in your body, of how do you handle things with somebody. Right. I have one client who I tend to keep the office very warm, right? And they prefer it much cooler. And particularly when we talk about stressful things, they tend to get this flush and they tend to get very warm, right? And so a different experience for them in my office is that when I know they're coming, I turn the heat off, right? And oftentimes I turn the heat off during the client before them so that it's not too warm by the time they come in. But that's me helping to co regulate, right? I recognize their need and so I address it. And so for them, that was new, right? Having a grown up, right? Who cared about their needs and wants to adjust the temperature for them, right? But that then helps them to more effectively regulate themselves. So also, I hear this idea where people talk about, I shouldn't need people, right? I shouldn't need people. Like, I'm a grown up, I should be able to do this for myself. Why should I need other people? Because we all need co-regulation throughout our entire lives, right? There's never a point at which we stop needing other people to help us like calm down or deal with stressors or deal with frustrating things in life, right? We need this co-regulation throughout our whole lives, right? So when people say like, well, why do I need therapy? Like, because we all need co-regulation. We all need somebody else to help us with processing things, help with addressing things. And so, one of the other ideas that she talked about was this idea that like we don't ask our clients to do anything we haven't done already. And that I have to know my own nervous system before I work with other people's nervous systems, right? So in order for me to effectively co-regulate with you, I have to know my own nervous system. I have to be able to keep myself calm when we're interacting, right? I have to be able to take care of myself. And so any of the things that I ask, right? The safe and sound protocol, I got trained in it. I did it at the same time that my partner did it so that I had my own experiences, right? I'm not giving anybody anything that I haven't done already, right? I've done my own therapy. I've done my own work. I've worked through a lot of this stuff, right? Most of the skills that I teach, I've used, right? So if you are used to self-regulating, if you are used to doing that all by yourself, you are always going to try to get yourself back to this safe and social place by yourself, right? That's just going to be your default, right? If you were left alone as an infant and left to cry yourself to sleep, as an adult, you're going to go into this space of, well, I have to do it by myself. I'm going to figure this out. However, you do need somebody else to co-regulate, right? Either as a guide, right? Somebody who helps you with how to do that, or somebody to just witness, right? Somebody to sit with you, right? So when I'm crying, I may not need the other person to do anything, but their presence to witness me as I learn how to co-regulate how to self-regulate, right? Like that is co-regulating, right? Just their presence, right? But we need those experiences of co-regulation so that we can learn that we don't have to do it alone. Once we have been able to regulate with another person, then we're absolutely more effective at doing it by ourselves, doing it on our own. But we can't be really good at it until we learn that we don't have to do it alone. We don't have to do it all by ourselves, right? So one of the things that she talks about with this idea of co-regulating, and particularly co-regulating with online therapy, right, is paying attention to, right? When I come up on screen, what in my environment welcomes you? What in my environment warns you? Right? You're already paying attention to those things on your side, right? But thinking about what in your space when you're getting ready to do online therapy helps you feel safe. What do you have around you that helps you regulate, right? I've always got fidget toys here on the table, right? Because these things help me regulate, right? My different chairs, I wear fuzzy socks, right? All those things are things that help me to regulate. And so she talks about, with your therapist, either through video or something else, or even just with other people, right? To experiment with proximity, right? She talks about like moving closer to the camera. Like, how does that feel for you as I do that, right? Moving further away. How does that feel for you, right? My eye gaze. Do you want me to look right at you? Do you want me to look away? What's my prosody, right? So how does my voice sound as I talk? What words do I use? What phrases do I use? Vocal bursts, right? So vocal bursts are those like, right? Those like non-word sounds that we make that everybody knows. And so she shared this really cool map of all these different vocal bursts that we do and that what emotions those convey, and that we all pretty much know those. with these different things that I'm experimenting with, right? Does it help you feel here and welcomed? Or does it make you start to feel uneasy? Does it make you move you out of feeling safe with me, right? If I move closer to the camera, right? I watch some people, right? Sometimes I'll move to stick my foot under and I'll end up leaning closer to the camera, and I'll watch people kind of jump when I do that. And so really paying attention to your own experience, right? What makes you feel welcomed, right? Are there particular phrases, right? She gave the example of people, some people really like their name, right? Their name really helps them to calm down. Their name really helps them to feel present. Right? My partner loves when I use his name. Other people, right, using their name freaks them out, right? It makes them super anxious. I hate when people use my name. Unless you are trying to get my attention and you don't have my attention, for me, that's the only reason to ever use my name. And my partner loves using names because it helps him calm. So he uses my name all the time. And I don't use his name as much as he'd like, right? So we're both trying to work on adjusting to that. But, right, that's an example of something that for you, paying attention to, how does that feel for you? Right? So again, asking yourself, what does your nervous system need, right? What does your body need to get anchored in ventral vagal, right? That safety, that regulated, right? Anchored meaning we can adjust, right? We can jump into sympathetic. We can mobilize if we need to, right? We can disappear if we need to, right? So in therapy, right? Looking at that question, right? Do you need to tell your therapist, right? Me, to change something about the way that they're speaking? Do I need to change my volume? Right? Again, are those any of those particular words that feel welcoming or warming? Warning, not warming. Right? So just kind of really paying attention. So what I'm hoping you get out of this, right, is a better understanding of your own states, how it impacts you, and also, right, how therapy can help you with being able to move through these different states, being able to increase your flexibility, being able to increase your sense of safety in the world, right? That's part of why I offer the Safe and Sound protocol. It's a, thing that doesn't involve lots of willpower, right? It's a thing that helps you to learn, right, this different sense of safety in your body. For some people, right, that's scary, right? For some people, as they start to calm down, it triggers them, right? That's why for adults, I don't do this for anybody that's not an active therapy client of mine. But for my therapy clients, right, it does give them a different experience of their bodies. And so I'm really hoping this helps you with kind of your own awareness of yourself, more ability to communicate with other people, and more ability to create more of a sense of safety in your life, create more of a flexibility when you do need to mobilize for things. So thank you for joining me. I know this is a lot of videos. I know it's a lot of information. I really appreciate you sharing your time and hope you have a wonderful day.